by one. One thing I wanted to talk about real quick, this here's a blown bulb that I have. It's one I've already pulled. But a lot of people, and I've heard like parts dealers and whatnot, tell you not to touch the bulb portion because the grease from your fingers can make it blow or whatever, get hot and blow. So while I'm replacing these are what the LED ones look like. They look real fancy or whatnot, but I'm just gonna try and grab them all by the base just like this. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this one at a time. Here we go. So a quick little update, if you guys ever want to do this and you're wondering how many bulbs you need, there was 14 in there, but I went ahead and replaced 16 because I told you I added those other two. I don't know if they're even going to work, but we will see. But yeah, if you need to know how many bulbs, it looks like 14 to 16 if you're going to order some. Alright guys, so before I head back outside, I'm going to clean this up. I'm honestly just using Armor All Auto Glass Cleaner. I'm going to clean this up. I just sprayed it down a little bit. One thing I was going to talk to you guys about, especially with these older Mustangs, there's tabs down on the bottom here. These guys right here, they are notorious for breaking. This one just fell apart on me while I was just spraying it with some stuff. I went and looked at the one I had out of my notchback. It's even worse. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean this one up. Take my time. Be careful putting it back in. But whenever you guys go to remove those, I was just going to let you know, like, take your time with those bottom ones. Especially this older plastic stuff. It's very brittle. It breaks very easily. So anyways, yeah, there's quite a bit of dirt here and dirt here. I'm gonna try and get that all cleaned up, and then we should be ready to go back out to the car. So guys, and while I went to take my stuff back outside and I was gonna start cleaning up the car, but I got all these pieces that can be cleaned in the house, so I just brought them in. I'm gonna clean them up and make them look better. I don't know if I said it before, I'm not going for perfect. I just want it better than it was. So I'm just gonna clean them up and get them ready to put back in. Alright guys, so I'm back in the car. You can see how dirty this stuff is. I'm gonna give this stuff all a pretty good wipe down, and then we'll go ahead and start reinstalling everything. Okay, so I got everything cleaned up. You can especially tell in that corner. I mean, it still looks bad, but it is very much so better. The car's finally starting to not smell like 1993. So I'm gonna start with reassembly, starting with my gauge cluster. Alright, so cluster's back in. I got my 4 bolts put back where they belong. 2 things I wanted to mention real quick. 1, make sure these wires are out of the way. Mine were trying to run down underneath here. Same with over here. And then 2, whenever you're hooking up the connections in the back side, make sure you hear them click. And then one other thing I did is after I got all 3 of my connections hooked up, I got outside of the car, looked in through the windshield, and looked to see visually that everything clicked into place. Last thing you want to do is put these things in and something not come on because you didn't hook it up properly. The other thing I'm going to do is once I get my bezel set back in here and get my switches hooked back up, I'm going to try and turn them on, make sure everything lights up. The other thing you might want to do is when you're at this point is go ahead and start the car just to see if your RPMs are going to come up and they're working properly. But I am having the trouble of finding my keys, so I'm gonna go try to find those and then I'll be back with you. Alright guys, so I got my bezel back in, got my switches hooked back up. Also, like I was saying earlier, whenever you're putting this stuff back together, make sure you know where your wires are. These ones had gotten back here. They were coming out from behind the bezel, so I had to pull them through. I ended up having to take a bit of my own advice. I had everything started going back together just like this. It's daylight, so I couldn't really see if the lights were coming on, so I went and got a blanket and just kind of tossed it over everything and turned my lights on. I would show you, but they really just don't show up that great on camera. But I got everything, like turned my headlights on, was rolling my dimmer switch and nothing was coming on. Come to find out, my dimmer switch was bad, so I went and got one I had lying in my garage. Can't really see, there it is. Switched out, everything works perfect now. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide my switches back in, put my collar back around my steering wheel, and then we will go ahead and put together the bottom pieces. I'm still looking for my metal piece out of my notchback to replace the one that was in here. So yeah. Alright guys, so real quick, I was going through and checking all my lights, checking all my fuses, making sure everything was going to come on in the car that was supposed to, and my blinkers do not work. And I found this laying in the glove box or center console, whatever. Plugged it in, they still didn't work. I'm fairly certain this is the flasher. Also, my hazards don't work, so I'm gonna pick up a hazard flasher fuse, I don't know what you call it, while I'm there. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm headed down to the parts store. Alright, so I found out that this is actually a horn relay and not what I needed at all. I'm not even sure if it works or not, but what I needed was this. I thought that the flashers ran on a separate, or the hazard flash ran on a separate deal, and I thought that's what these were, but I guess both my flashers and hazards run off of this, so I'm going to replace this, see if I can get my blinkers to work, plug this in, see if my horn works, and then I should be able to finish putting back together the bottom. I'm still trying to find the metal plate that goes down here out of my other car. Yeah. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I finally got my dash put back together after a few hours of trying to figure out why my blinkers didn't work. So I had everything pretty much put back together, put the key in the ignition, turned it on. First the dimmer wouldn't work, I got that figured out, swapped it out for another one I had. Then the dash would come on, headlights would come on, hazards would work, but the exterior flashers didn't work and the interior flashers didn't work. So I started chasing wires. I replaced my flasher down here. Turns out that one was fine, but nothing was, like my regular driving flashers were still not working. Come to find out, these cars have two flashers. One is actually back behind here. Now it might just be hanging there, but anyways, it basically sits right here. So I got it out, swapped it with the flasher that I had in here, which was still good. Got the exterior flashers flashing. Well, then the interior ones still were not flashing. So I started chasing wires. I got on some forums, started reading. I checked all my fuses. I replaced a few fuses that were blown, but they were not for the flashers. They were something else. Still, I could not get my dash to flash. No matter what I did, I checked. There's a wire in here, I guess, that goes between the multifunction switch and here. It was good. Checked my multifunction switch. It was good. Still nothing. So you guys won't see this in the video, but I took everything back apart, went back into the house, swapped everything into that other cluster that I had, put it all back together, and everything works. I never drove around too much with this car since I've had it. With the old lights in it, and like I said, half of it was burned out, so I don't really know what the old bulbs were like, but I don't think they were great. But I'll be real honest, I'm not super impressed with these LEDs. But anyway, oh yeah, I got my stereo working, which was one of the fuses that was blown. But anyways, what I wanted to show you is I got my lights working and I got my blinkers working. So just by swapping out to that other cluster. So the only thing that is bad, I suppose, about this whole thing, the mileage varies between the old cluster and the new cluster, but I keep folders of everything that I drive, of all the receipts, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the mileage off of the old cluster, write it down in the folder, and then write down where this one is at, which it looks like it's at 14,454.5 miles. I'll write that down in there, so if I ever do decide to sell this car, the next owners will know the difference in mileage. But these things aren't really terribly good at clocking mileage, as they only go to like 10,000, or if that makes sense, like 10, 20, 30, 40 on up, but it doesn't go into the 100,000 digits. So anyways, that's the end of my video. I never did put back together the underside of the dash just because I couldn't find a stupid metal piece out of my other car, so I'm still on the hunt for that, and I'm not going to put it back together until I find that. So that is all I have for you guys today. I hope that this video helps somebody, and is keeping you guys current on what I'm doing. I think I might make a video of that little pickup of mine here in the next couple days, but that's all I have for you guys now. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day, good rest of the week.